Hey everybody, how's it going? Almost rugged you on the on the drop there. If you don't know, that's my music. I actually produced a EDM album. I guess you call it an album or an EP. So there's 5 tracks on it, and I don't think I've linked it down below, but I like the music, so I use it for my streams. Anyways, man, what's been going on? It's been quite the break since I've done these live streams. But I figure, you know what? I had a lot of Red Bull in me. Unfortunately, I don't advocate for taking a lot of caffeine or anything like that, but it's like, you know what? I'm up and we might as well do this. I produced a video about an hour or two ago. I released it, and it was just talking about a specific tool that I use. It's called Have I Been Pwned? Definitely check it out. But that kind of also got me inspired to actually continue a stream. So without further ado, usually on these streams, I like to cover 5 different things. And so I wrote down 5 different areas that I want to cover. And yeah, we'll go from there. And we'll have a bit of fun along the way. So the first thing I do want to cover is channel updates. So we passed the 50 video mark, which I'm quite proud of. And what I wanted to do, so over the last month, I tried to figure out a way to move forward, because at first it was going to do videos every single day. What I realized then is that the quality started to decrease over time, and I don't want to do that. In terms of how my day-to-day goes, there's a lot of things that I do. And so I just didn't want to schedule 5 or 10 minutes here to record a video, get it out, right? And so instead of doing that, I want to take my time. I want to talk about things that actually matter. And the things that I was talking about do matter, definitely. But they were topics that just came top of mind. And it's like, hey, I think this would be at least somewhat valuable to somebody, right? But over the course of this channel and over the course of time, hopefully in the next couple months, I can become quite more structured and have more, I guess, more topics that align in with each other. And so look forward to that. And schedule-wise, so far, if you've been following my channel for the last week, I'm uploading on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And so expect one video on those days, and then a live stream, hopefully on the Sunday, but it doesn't necessarily have to be on the Sunday. Like today, it's Wednesday night, or Thursday morning, if you want to get very technical on where I'm at in the world. So yeah, look forward to that. There's been a lot of personal things that have recently cropped up that I had to deal with right away. Very stressful situations, very emotional situations, but I think we are back. And yeah, I'm looking forward to really driving this forward. And in terms of driving things forward, there's a lot of good things to look forward to in the upcoming months and the upcoming year, quite frankly. If we look at the Bitcoin chart, man, there's been a lot of activity. So we'll get to the technical analysis. If you've been following the channel, we've been talking about Thor and specifically. Now, full disclosure, I am now out of that ecosystem. I don't believe in centralized networks. I don't want to put my money behind centralization as much as possible. So I've taken my skin out of that game for the moment, but who knows? I might get back into it just with a little scratcher bet. But we'll look at that. We'll also be looking at the crypto security news. So there was a news article, it was about a few days past, I believe, that we'll be looking at. And I really want to talk to the specifics on how it affected me in this breach. In addition to that, I'll be talking about the recent Richard Hart audio live stream on X, or formerly Twitter, and specifically regarding picking up pennies in front of freight trains and what he actually means about that, and my experience of that as well. And last but not least, I want to talk about 9inch. So 9inch is a, what do you call it? A decentralized exchange slash farming slash whatever it is, on Pulse Chain. And so we'll be looking into that as well. So just wanted to provide you channel updates regarding that I'm continuously working in the background to making sure that things are working smoothly and I can provide as much value to you guys as possible. So without further ado, I would like to get into the technical analysis on Thor. Let me just move things around here and share my screen eventually. There we go. Okay, so it looks like a disaster at this moment. So let's try and clean this up a bit. Can we move that? No. Well, maybe. Can we close it? Move sidebar, hide sidebar. There we go. Okay, so Thor. So I believe the last time we looked at this was, if we look at the Fibonacci levels here, it was about here. And so October 11th. So it's been roughly a month, right? And so I believe in the last video that I did on Thor, I said, yeah, we're going to probably go back and forth between this area of resistance here. But eventually we will pump in the next month or so. And lo and behold, look at that, we did. Now, this is actually quite surprising, simply because you see this massive candle here. This was because the Thor chain developers decided it best not to, they froze trading. And when they froze trading, they announced that, hey, there was malicious activity on the network, and all of a sudden people started to freak out. And so what I did previously, I sold this wick here, and I was going to buy back in down here. There's other opportunities that came my way, and so I did not. And so eventually I sold shortly thereafter, after the first pump there. And so I didn't want that risk, the contract risk specifically at this point in time. But let's see if we can do this here. Let's see if we can do some more analysis. So let's start with the Fibonacci levels. It's been a while since I've done technical analysis too. So we'll just drag that across. That actually looks quite nicely, actually. So we'll first take a look at the Fibonacci levels. So we'll hide the Bollinger Bands at the moment and the VPVR. So looks like we had resistance. The low at that was about 14 cents. And then it looks like we quite easily got past that 18 cent, 19 cent resistance level. And then we slowly increased to that next resistance level at 22 cents. And it looks like we bounced off of the 26 cent resistance level there. So we're bouncing back and forth here, which is actually quite surprising that this lines up so well, to be quite frank with you guys. Now, if we turn back on the Bollinger Bands, we can see with that increase, it definitely took the upper Bollinger Band there for a little ride, and that moving average in the middle continues to ride up. And so it looks like with that resistance level with the Fibonacci sequence, in addition to that mid Bollinger Band, it looks like we have a good support level there. So I would expect in the next week or so that we continue to climb. Now, anything's possible in crypto. This is not financial advice. This is not legal advice. Anything I take it as a random guy on the internet with a bit more Red Bull than what he should have had today. So there is that. And last but not least, if we turn on the VPVR, and so all this is showing, what is it called? It's called the amount of activity, I guess you can say, at the various levels. So there was a lot of activity on the 16 cent level, and as we can see, there was a lot of back and forth movement. And now there's a lot of back and forth movement at this level. And what's really cool about this type of technical analysis tool is that it takes account everything at that level. So in history, you can go back. So you can see there's a lot of activity here and here and here. And so that acts as both support and resistance as we go on. And we can even go as far back in time as well, right? And so we'll look at here. And so there was a fair bit of activity. It looked like back in November, December last year, even January, extending to February. And so that's very good support and resistance over time. So I wouldn't be surprised if we move up from here. So that is all I wanted to cover for Thor at the moment. Once again, this is something that I used to play around with. I might get back into in the near future here, but at this point in time, all my dry powder has kind of been used up at the moment. I'm waiting for one more dip, hopefully in December, for that final massive DCA, but that is all. Awesome. So the next thing I wanted to talk about is crypto security news. So if you don't know, you can look in the description below, and I actually have a Telegram group where I post everything regarding crypto security. So anything that I see on the daily news. So I have a custom news channel that I developed for myself. I look at it every day and I share what is most important and most relevant to you guys. And I post it in the chat. The chat is obviously, you guys can communicate in there. And this past month in October was Cybersecurity Awareness Month. So I actually developed 5 different posters on the various cybersecurity awareness in Canada. So the Canadian government came out with various topics to discuss over the month, and I took those and developed posters that very easy to read, digestible, a little bit of fun on the side as well. And so I posted those as pins, I believe they're called, in the Telegram group. So get in, and it's completely free and it's for you. It provides that value for you. So next thing, I'm going to share the crypto security news that I find is quite relevant at this point in time, which is LastPass. Excuse me. So LastPass is a password manager that I have used in the past. And I actually switched from LastPass to a different password manager simply because of all of the breaches that have occurred on their platform. It's not secure. And audit after assessment, they keep failing it. So if you're using LastPass, get rid of it. Switch to something else, please. Because in this article, we'll be talking about the theft of approximately $4.4 million in crypto because people used LastPass. So here we go. Hackers have stolen $4.4 million in cryptocurrency on October 25th using private keys and passphrases stored in stolen LastPass databases, according to research by crypto fraud researchers who have been researching similar incidents. So just because something says it's secure, it's not secure. You have to do your due diligence when you're looking into the various services that you use. The news comes from ZachXBT and MetaMask developer Taylor Monahan, who have been tracking these crypto thefts. We regularly have people reach out via DM who have had their crypto assets stolen. We also approach victims we discover on-chain. And on-chain analysis is actually a fantastic tool that we can use to identify various things such as investigations. And this is why crypto is so valuable at this point in time, because every single transaction is transparent at this point in time. That can change in the future though. We ask potential LastPass victims multiple questions and typically found one commonality between them all being LastPass. So that's a single point of failure. And anytime we have a single point of failure, there's a massive risk of compromise and damage to ourselves. According to a tweet by ZachXBT on X, the threat actors stole $4.4 million from 25 plus victims due to a LastPass breach in 2022. So this was the final straw for me. They had a breach in 2022 and it's like, enough is enough. I changed all of my passwords, all 300 or 400 so accounts, and I switched to a different password manager. And I highly recommend you do the same. So this is the tweet. LastPass breach. In 2022, LastPass suffered 2 breaches that ultimately allowed threat actors to steal source code, customer data, and production backups stored in cloud services that included encrypted password vaults. So I looked into this a lot. I'm just going to zoom out here. I looked into this a lot and tried to figure out what the impact to myself was. And what happened was LastPass uses encrypted vaults. So any user that uses their platform has what's called a vault, and each vault is encrypted. And so It's encrypted with the master password that you set as a user. Now, what happened was the attacker got onto LastPass's cloud service and stole those encrypted databases. So now the hackers has everyone's encrypted database. It's still encrypted by the master password, but now they have the encrypted database. So once you have to figure out what is the probability and possibility of an attacker gaining access to that encrypted vault. Now, the risk, if your master password is quite complex and long, such as what I have set, the risk of it is actually quite low. Because in order to hack it, you can do multiple things as an attacker. For example, you can use what are called dictionary attacks. So you take words from a dictionary and you just throw it in the password and you rotate those millions of times a second. And eventually you'll either find out that, yes, this user is using a dictionary word or dictionary words or multiple dictionary words in their master password, and therefore we can crack it. Or they're using a random password that is very strong, very complex, and we can't break in. However, we're dealing with people here. People are flawed, right? People don't understand how valuable and important it is to make sure that you have long, complex passwords. A lot of people still today, maybe even you, reuse passwords, right? And so this is where we got to be very careful. If you reuse a password, don't be shocked when you are hacked, because the impact of that hack just is widespread. Because now all that attacker has to do is get one password of yours, and now they have access to all of your accounts. And so I was looking at this and I'm just like, okay, the risk is quite low, but this is still the beginning of the breach. Oftentimes when we're dealing with a cybersecurity incident, we don't understand the scope of the incident or the impact of the incident, or even how the attacker got in and how far they are in, until it's way too late. And so at this point in time, they stole the encrypted databases. Okay, that's not the end of the world for a lot of people. However, how much further have they gotten? We don't know that. And so what I did is like, you know what? I don't trust LastPass anymore. That was the final straw. I am just removing myself entirely from that risk and moving on to a completely separate platform that does things so much better. So that's what I did. Going back to the article here. At the time, LastPass CEO Karim Touba said that while the encrypted vaults were stolen, only customers knew the master password required to decrypt them. And yes, that is correct. Exactly what I said. Therefore, if you are following password best practices recommended by LastPass, or just cyber best practices in general, your vaults should be safe. Now, we got to be very careful when we're using language, especially when we're looking at cyber incidents. So should is not must or something affirmative, right? It should be safe, most likely. So we got to be mindful of the words that we use and read. However, LastPass warned that those for using weaker passwords, it was advised to reset the master password. And this doesn't make sense, because if the attacker has your encrypted vault, chances are they're storing it locally, which means changing your password only changes the password on the cloud. It doesn't change the password on their locally stored vault. That doesn't make it a damn bit of sense. So yes, it's advised, but the damage has already been done. Sorry, sir. Depending on the length and complexity of your master password and iteration count setting, you may want to reset your master password. This suggestion was given because a weaker password can be more easily cracked using specialized programs that utilize a GPU to brute force easy to crack passwords. According to research conducted by Monahan and Zach XBT, it is believed that the threat actors are cracking these stolen password vaults to gain access to stored cryptocurrency wallet phrases, credentials, and private keys. What did I say in a previous video? Do not store your seed phrases on password managers. You're asking to be hacked. Because if an attacker gains access to your vault, they have your seed phrase. And anyone has your seed phrase, they have your money. They have your crypto, and they will easily move that out. So don't do it. Instead, what I recommend, you store it the good old-fashioned way. You write it on a piece of paper, or if you want to be very sophisticated, you can store it on a very, what is it called, a steel plate, and hammer those letters and numbers in, or letters and words in, and you store it somewhere where only you know where. Once they gain access to this information, they can load the wallets onto their own devices and drain all of the funds. According to a report by Brian Krebs on this research, Monahan and other researchers have generated a unique signature that links the theft of over $35 million to the same threat actors. At this point, I'm also confident in saying that in most of these cases, the compromised keys were stolen from LastPass. The number of victims who only had the specific group of seeds/keys that were drained stored in LastPass is simply too much to ignore. It is becoming increasingly clear that the threat actors behind the LastPass attack have successfully cracked the passwords for vaults and are using the stolen information to fuel their own attacks. Therefore, if you are using LastPass, if you are a LastPass user who had an account during the August and December 2022 breaches, it is strongly suggested that you reset all your passwords, including your master password. Now, I would add to that in saying, don't use LastPass. Switch to something else. Because you have to assume compromise at this point. Anytime that there's uncertainty, you have to assume compromise because you never know how far the attacker has gotten. So, shame on LastPass. I will not recommend them ever again in my entire life. Just simply by the fact that they were not following best practices. Anyways, don't get me started on that one. Man. Moving on to the next thing, I guess the slightly more positive news. Pennies in front of freight trains. So Richard Hart, if you don't know, let me share my screen once again. Richard Hart, he is the founder of a cryptocurrency called Hex, and he is also the creator of Pulse Chain. And so Pulse Chain is a fork of the Ethereum network, and it is faster, it is more secure, cheaper gas fees, and is being updated constantly, and there are so many valuable opportunities for it to improve in the near future. So highly recommend it, and he is the founder of all these. And so he released a 47-minute audio clip regarding his thoughts on what has been involved with the Sam Bankman-Fried fiasco and cryptocurrency in general. So I just want to play the first 20-30 seconds here. Make sure my desktop audio is working. There we go.
Hello, everybody. Richard Hart here. I hope you heard about Sam Bankman-Fried's trial. He was convicted. He was found guilty on all charges. Now, this is in one way a vindication for all of the things that I've been promoting, where cryptocurrency was invented to get rid of middlemen. Don't pick up pennies in front of freight trains. Don't give your keys to somebody else. But in another way, it's actually a sad story for crypto.
So, just wanted to share that little clip, and I want to talk about what he means by don't pick up pennies in front of freight trains. So, think of the analogy. You have a freight train, there are pennies on the track, and you're going on the track as the train is coming to pick up pennies. What is the benefit of doing that? You get pennies. What are the risks of doing that? You die. So essentially what he's talking about is don't make stupid plays when the regular plain and simple play will get you to where you need to be. Case in point. 9inch. 9inch, if you do not know, is a brand new project. It's a brand new project that has launched on Pulse Chain. Now, with any project, with any piece of software, there's going to be bugs, there's going to be issues. People are going to fumble the launch, and things are going to be eventually worked out within the next year or so. And that's very typical. I want to make this clear. That is very typical in the software industry. Very typical in any project that involves software. Software is very difficult to manage, very difficult to maintain, and produce. And at the best of times, the basic minimum functionality works and nothing else does. So, having said that, this is 9inch. So it has been in a couple weeks now, I believe, since 9inch has launched. And so 9inch was launched on Pulse Chain, and it's a meme exchange, decentralized platform for yielding. And you have these various farms. Currently, it's not loading at the moment. I don't know why, but one of the examples of picking pennies in front of freight trains is trading, let's say, Ethereum for this token, or trading Bitcoin for this token. It's very, very, very tempting, let's say, to get into a brand new project and to play around and to make all those gains, right? However, if you look at the grand scheme of things, what did you do? If you would have bought 9inch on the day of launch, you would have lost probably at least half your money. At least half your money. So you take, let's say, for example, 1 Ethereum, and you trade it for the 9inch token, and guess what? It goes down 50%. Now you're technically at half an Ethereum's worth of value. You just sacrificed half an Ethereum, when the play that you had originally, well, that 1 Ethereum, you keep it for another year or two, that Ethereum is going to do very well. Whereas with 9inch, you just lost a lot of value. And so this is what he's talking about. There's a lot of projects out there. There's so many different projects in crypto nowadays, and so many different ecosystems, that it's very easy to trade good, solid projects to things that are not proven themselves over time. And so, yes, it is very important to play around with these. I'm invested in this. I think I put a scratcher bet into this, just to play around, see how it works, right? That's the price you pay for education on crypto, right? Is you take your money, and instead of learning through a course or whatever, you play around in the ecosystem. You learn by doing. And so you do that until you completely understand what you are doing, what these farms are, how the founders have set up this, what are the tokenomics, etc., etc. Now, what happened when you invested in this and it doesn't pay out? Well, you did what Richard Hart said not to do. You picked up pennies in front of freight trains. The freight train is coming. Ethereum is going to go to the moon. Bitcoin's going to go to the moon. It's only a matter of time. So why trade something that is guaranteed for something that is degenerate? Very tempting to do so, right? And so I highly recommend you really pay attention to what your activity is. Are you getting into a coin or an ecosystem to learn? Or are you being greedy and saying, hey, this can do a 10,000x in the next 2 years? It's nice that it might actually do the 10,000x, but at the end of the day, we need to make sure that we protect ourselves from scams. And as Dollar Cost Crypto always says, crypto is a game of attrition. All you have to do is stay. Don't get wrecked, stay, and continue to dollar cost average as you go on in life. And eventually, your bags will pay out. However, so many people take their guaranteed gains, guaranteed bags in Bitcoin and Ethereum, and trade them for degenerate plays that get scammed. FTX, for example. Luna, for example, went to zero. So we just got to be very careful. We got to stay in the game. It's such an exciting time to be alive, but also very dangerous, because you can lose everything if you are not careful and you don't know what you're doing. So that is my rant. Thank you for listening to my TED Talk. Last thing I wanted to talk about was 9inch, but we kind of already covered that. So yeah, I guess final thoughts for tonight. It's a very exciting time to be in crypto. It's been quite the ride for myself. I watched my portfolio drop a lot. And finally, we are making gains again. I've stuck the course. I have done all the learning that I possibly can on the ecosystems, the brand new ecosystems that are coming out. I've continued to hone my skill set in cybersecurity, making sure that my crypto is secure, but also my personal life is secure, making sure that I am up to date on all of that, making sure I'm getting quality information. This is the thing that I believe we have to start paying attention to, is there's going to be so many channels, so many YouTube channels to watch, so many people talking about crypto, so many news channels talking about crypto, that who do we listen to? And what I recommend is you look for the people that put barriers to their information. So for example, I only listen to people who have barriers to entry these days, or someone who I've met face to face and have had a good conversation with. Other than that, I'm going to take what information comes in with a massive grain of salt, because everyone has an agenda, even myself. My agenda right now is I want to grow this channel. I want to do good for the world. But even at that, you have to do your own research. You have to do your own due diligence. If I say something, let's say on the technical analysis side with Thor, maybe you see something I don't. And it's very likely that that is the case, because I am no longer invested in that ecosystem. So you got to do your own research on these things. However, it's a very exciting time to be in crypto. A lot of things are happening. A lot of things are moving. It was so cool to see my portfolio jump. About 2-3, it wasn't even that long ago, about a week or two ago. Because finally, it kind of confirmed a lot of what I was thinking of. And it's like, we got to be very close to a nice pump. It's like it's been a year of just dropping and dropping and dropping. And so it confirmed what a lot of people have been talking about, including what I've been investigating in my sentimental analysis, my fundamental analysis. And I'll drop a little bit of alpha here just for you guys, and just for sticking it out through this live stream. 2 weeks ago, I had an opportunity to go talk with some very important people in crypto and from a cryptocurrency exchange. And this person told me, you know, people are not paying attention to crypto, but I want you to know that institutions are already in. They're 100% in. They have their bags packed. Take that as you will. Institutions meaning massive banks. Financial industry. The financial industry knows the value of crypto now, and they're already in. So if you're not in, what are you waiting for? Just look at the history of Bitcoin. Look at the history of Ethereum. Look at the gains. At this point in time, crypto in itself is not that risky. You see inflation go up at ridiculous rates, and it's only increasing. Why not take a chance? Anyways, I will leave you at that. And hopefully I got some more videos coming up for you guys. And I want to be more consistent on both the live stream, 1 time a week, and uploading on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So look forward to that. I do appreciate you guys. I want to provide as much value as I possibly can. There's a lot of insider knowledge I know and understand about crypto and cybersecurity, so I want to bring that to you guys as value. So without further ado, I will leave you with that. And there's my ending stream, my ending streaming page is another clip of my from my EP. So hope you guys enjoy. And after this live stream, I'll link it my music down below. Anyways, guys, take care.